up until I go live. Hey everybody, we're back round 2. I don't know if the audio is fixed, so if anyone ends up finding this goddamn stream, let us know.
Please let us know.
Is this on a whole new link now?
Yeah.
This is a whole new link.
Stream.
Is there any way to let people know?
I'm going to go drop it in our Discord right now. And put it out. It's like out on YouTube now that we're live now, so hopefully they'll see the notification for it if they have notifications. Oh, there we go.
Okay,
here's see?
Welcome
back. Can you hear us this time, Simon? Is it working? Simon, is it working? Please tell us.
Yo, it works.
It's better now,
okay.
baby.
Okay, we're here. We're here.
So we're gonna chalk that one up to StreamYard.
Yeah, we'll chalk that one up to StreamYard. Yeah, no, StreamYard being an asshole.
Take your pick.
Yeah, both, either or.
Where were we?
Where were we? Okay, so
I
guess we'll start from the goddamn top now, since probably no one heard any of that stuff. Welcome to Bobby's Cryptid Corner, everybody, where we talk about all things weird and spooky. And tonight we have Eric, aka Gypsy Road, aka Paranormal Highway, on today. And we are so excited to talk about him and his experiences and all that fun stuff. Our drinking game tonight is anytime someone says the word paranormal, we do have to drink, so everybody take a drink. This is now my third shot since here we are. We're really
I like
only
your
fucking 10 minutes in.
Chap Campbell. I had to poop, so it worked out fine.
Oh, perfect. Perfect.
I heard I make people crap a lot when I'm on a show. That's great.
We might be
spirit
animals.
Could be.
I like the
help my morning
silver
movement.
lining take.
Cool shirt, Babs.
Cool shirt, Babs.
Tommy G.
Where
I
are we?
know.
So we were starting
I don't
from the
even
beginning.
Motorhead. Nice.
I know.
That is nice.
Where
I don't even know where we started off at.
you came from?
I'm wearing a tour shirt too. This is a tour shirt.
You are wearing a
is
cool
it?
shirt. I noticed that.
Social distortion, baby.
I'm wearing a cool shirt too.
Now,
Boston.
Eric, I got to ask you. I see that shirt in a lot of your videos. Is that like a kind of a uniform on your channel?
That's my uniform shirt.
Oh, okay.
I keep it down
Going to
here
work.
when I don't like the shirt that I'm wearing. I have as my backup.
Oh, okay. I love that.
Smart.
Well, while we're on the topic, why don't you tell folks that may not know who you are and what it is you do?
I've been on this channel before. What do you mean you people in the chat haven't seen me?
Not
You haven't
everybody
seen me, you haven't
comes
seen their
to
show.
Bobby's Cryptid Corner.
Jesus fucking okay. I'll just go fuck myself. Ladies, take it away.
Eric has an amazing. So Bobby's Cryptid Corner on our channel is kind of like a little bit of a different crowd than our normal crowd, Eric. So
okay.
Kind of. So one thing that Eric does is he has more than one channel. He does his cryptid stuff that he has for Paranormal Highway, Gypsy Road, what it used to be. But you also do like horror movie reviews and things like that,
yes.
right? So like
Yes.
Bobby has a horror podcast. So we do all of our things under one channel. So sometimes when we have people in our chat, it's not necessarily people who would have been coming to our other show that we were into. So
I get it.
Yeah, Eric.
Trust me. When I do horror talk on my main channel, nobody shows up. It's like once you talk about movies, they're out.
Oh.
They only want to hear
I
about
was looking at my numbers earlier today.
So
It's just branding. You should separate that out into a completely different channel and see what happens.
Yeah, and that's what he did.
That's what I did. Horror talk channel.
Oh, okay.
And what's it called? What's the name of it?
Hey, the market's
Just horror talk?
flooded. It's a labor of love.
It is, right?
Is it really flooded with people doing horror film stuff? I just felt like you guys are the only people I know.
Yeah, that's a very saturated content market, I would say, is like horror cult movies. It's one of the first, I wouldn't say the first, but it's one of the first like regular genres on YouTube, like way back in like
and podcasting as well
6,
too.
7,
Like that
8-ish.
was podcasting as well. Like something that really like started the podcast world was people talking about like occult, like horror films and stuff like that. That's really kind of what pushed it out there and got more and more people to talk about it. Mm-hmm.
Well, see, horror movies is where a lot of directors and stuff make their name, because horror, you don't need to put a lot of money in it, and if you do it right on a low budget, you can have a masterpiece. I mean, think about it. You guys all heard Doctor Strange, the next movie, multiverse, whatever. That director, Sam Raimi, started with Evil Dead. I mean, with a low budget movie, and what a horror movie
Or
can do if you do it right.
James Cameron directed Piranha
Cameron.
2. Piranha 2.
Yes.
Which is
A
not as
classic.
good as something like, say, Alien or something like that, or Aliens.
Not as good as Piranha 1.
Alien. Not as good as Piranha.
Not as good as Piranha 1. I couldn't say honestly, but
Okay, so
All right.
let's get to the cryptid. Let's get to the cryptid. So
Eric is frozen.
You live. Oh no,
No.
Okay, no. Okay,
No,
so
he's
you
here.
live up.
He's just very still.
You live up in the Pacific Northwest, and you said
Yes.
you've never seen anything up in that area, but you come from the Fresno area where you have had some encounters.
Well, yeah. See, and you know, when we grew up, my family were hunters. We hunt our whole life from the beginning of the mountains. You know, talking about Bigfoot was different with us than most people. When we were raised, you know, our parents. Actually, I only had one parent growing up. My house was all guys, 2 brothers, no women. It was all guys. So you can imagine that. So when we go camping, it was always when they taught us about them animals. Bigfoot was always part of the conversation. Like he's part of the forest. He's part of the environment. So we always grew up respecting Bigfoot, not like hunting him down. He's evil. It was like, hey, when you go out there, be careful. And remember, this is Bigfoot country, so you got to respect their home.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all that. Now, the experience that we have had is probably like the only experience that we know it was Bigfoot was when we go hunting. Okay, there's 2 ways we hunt. Half the group goes on foot out to a place called Poison Meadows. So they go walking. The other half drives in the car. Now, the half that drives in the car are usually the old people that can't walk. So you got the older people. Now, I was extra young, so I had a ride in the car. And then what we do is on this hunting trip, hey, Daddy Stanton and my buddy, we meet up at a certain spot in the mountains. We meet up. And then we drive back to camp. People have beers, get drunk, and then wake up and do the same thing over again. Well, one night when we met up, you know, everybody got in the cars and we were driving back. And then all of a sudden you heard this noise on the left side. I mean, you heard this fucking noise, like crack, and then only thing you heard is, what the fuck is that? So all the cars pull over, and then all the young people got their guns, weapons, they got out, and everybody started running after it. Because it was not a fucking bear, because everybody knows if it's a bear, they're going to leave it alone. But nobody knew what this thing was. So all the young people got up. I even got my pocket knife because I thought I was brave. You know, you're a little kid. You want to join everybody. I did. I had a pocket knife. And then everybody started running after it. And you can hear it this thing was running fast. It wasn't on 4 feet. It was on 2.
Oh, wow.
And just chasing. You heard this noise, and this, you know, when we first heard it, it was like a noise, like what the fuck is that noise? I don't know how to explain it. It's too hard. It's too long time ago, but it was like a woman's voice mixed with, I don't know, something. I don't know. But the weirdest thing is when they're chasing it, this is the weirdest part. It's almost like it just disappeared. I mean, everybody got to a point where they circled, but it wasn't there. It was just vanished. It was gone. And everybody looked. Bushes. Now, some people say it could be a portal. I don't know. I'm not 100% on portals and that kind of stuff. But I mean, I'm not saying portals don't exist. They might exist, but it was weird. It was gone. Now, the bad thing wasn't that we know we saw a Bigfoot. That wasn't the bad thing. It's when everybody got back to the cars. Let me tell you something. The grown-ups were fucking pissed off. They were like, you fucking kids never, ever do that shit again.
Damn.
You could have got yourself hurt or killed. And they're right. They're absolutely right. But the thing is, when you're young, you know,
you don't care. You don't have fear.
If you see a potential Bigfoot, you're going to go after that potential Bigfoot.
Yeah. I think it's different when you're by yourself, right? I think it's different when I hear stories that people are by themselves and they walk up to one, and they're scared shitless. When you're with a big group, it's like you're not as scared because, first of all, they sneak up on you, you heard it. you saw it, and then. And then I can't. I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm laughing, but I just remember my Uncle John is like, "You motherfuckers." I mean, he was cussing. He was like, "You fucking kids."
Like, you
he actually had to run in.
So, did anyone? Did you or anyone in the group actually like see a physical, like see what it was?
They saw it running. They saw it running. They didn't get to see it like up close because it was off to the left, like with the trees. But what the other grown-ups and the grown-ups said, they said it was standing. It was standing. It cannot be Bigfoot because the thing is, a Bigfoot can't stand. Yes, they can. They could get up. But can a bear get up and then start running on 2 feet?
I don't think I've ever seen a bear like run on 2 feet. No.
No.
So you're saying
the part that it stopped is weird.
You'll hear that a lot with Bigfoot encounters about like everything from it walked into a portal to it just kind of dissipated like the predator to it was just gone. We don't know what happened. And that sounds like one of these situations. I've heard some dude on YouTube, I don't remember who it was, but he was making the case that Bigfoot hair is actually made of like reflective material that reflects the surrounding foliage to better camouflage. That'd be pretty cool, but
I'm not gonna lie, like
I'm not into portal shifting predator thing.
I'm not into killing Bigfoot, but that would low key make me want to kill him so I could have his fur.
Oh my god!
Yeah, I'm just saying, like
all that shit.
Yeah, that'd be a cool
invisibility cloak. You know what I'm saying?
So
normal.
With all the Eric, guys who grab, with all the people who grab the guns, nobody was pointing the guns at the thing. Nobody. I mean, yeah, they were carrying the guns with them because you're taught when you go in the woods, you always have it with you because you are in the woods. But nobody was like threatening to shoot it. Everybody, it's just a curiosity, just over. And you go back to the camp, and everybody was like, "We finally saw one." Everybody was hype about it because you hear about it so much growing up. But it was still under a respectful thing. So when I watch shows, hear people's stories that they want to go hunt, they want to go capture the Bigfoot, and it's like, why? That's their home, that's their woods.
Yeah, you're intruding on them.
To your house and hunting you, and pulling you out of your house. I mean, you're in their country.
That's what the aliens are doing.
That brings up an interesting ethical question that I've been meaning to ask you guys. Now is as good a time as any, I think.
Let's do it.
If we say that hunting and killing a Bigfoot for the sake of science, undeniably unable to deny it, and perhaps implement some policy regulation in the woods to protect them. Does that
Bobby,
cost benefit analysis?
In the state of Washington, if you shoot and kill a Bigfoot, it is considered manslaughter.
There's laws up there.
Yes. Now, of course, you could say that it is going to attack you. I'm sure you could talk your way out of it. Like it's going to attack you. You have no choice. But technically, if you attack Bigfoot, you can be arrested for manslaughter.
And it's like cool.
And that's
good. I like that. I like that rule. It's like, hey, by the way, if this happens to be real, which a lot of people in the state do believe it is, and what you'll hear a lot in these eyewitness accounts is a lot of hunters will say, I had him in my crosshairs, but I couldn't do it because it looked too much like a human. So there's some sort of primordial kinship there where it's difficult for even the most deadly of hunters to pull the trigger on that.
But why would you even have that thought, thinking it for a second, you want to shoot something? I mean, even when you deer hunt, you got to have a license. I mean, you just can't shoot a doe in California. I don't know about other states, but in California, you can't shoot a doe.
No, I agree.
Buck, it's got to have 2 forks. It's got to have a certain distance. I mean, but you're right.
It's kind of like the when you listen to Scout. Hello?
Ooh, are you there?
You guys still there?
Yeah, we hear you.
I'm here.
Okay,
cool. It's kind of like when you hear the skeptics say, like, well, everyone has a cell phone now. Why don't you just take a picture of it? In those situations, you don't think to pull out you're just bewildered by. And I think the same logic kind of applies in the moment when it comes to, having a gun on you And I bet it would be it wouldn't even cross your mind unless it started attacking you, I would argue.
Oh, well, let's think about that. Okay, you're right. You got a phone. Now, nobody here is experts. I mean, there is no experts in the Bigfoot field because it's all theories. But if you think about it, it's not like a Bigfoot standing like from me to the wall. We get this perfect picture. Bigfoot's far away.
Right.
Yeah.
And they say that Bigfoot can smell you. They know you're there. And once they know you're there, you're gone. So, try to get a perfect picture. I mean, you got to be up close, zoom in a certain distance. And you can't sneak up on a creature. Creatures got better senses than we do.
Yeah.
Better noses, hearing. It's not like you're a Green Beret.
And why ruin the moment?
Special forces.
Mike.
And I'd say a substantial amount of people have iPhones and they have some of the worst cameras. You have to focus it. You don't have time.
I was in the military, so maybe I got little special forces. Maybe I can sneak up on one. But you can't sneak up in there. You can't sneak up on them. Now let's be honest here. Now we do know 90% of all pictures are fake. We know that 90% probably all fake, but the 10%, that's what we're looking for. Because you only need one to prove that it's real. Now DNA is the next big thing, right? Can we find DNA? But this is the problem with DNA. Who's going to be honest enough where you get an honest DNA sample from? Now, because first of all, if you do a DNA test, they cost a good DNA. I talk about a good one, not fucking a Facebook-owned company where you spit in a little thing. You do Ancestry. A real DNA costs you $5,000 to $10,000. So, who got that kind of money just to test out a piece of hair? So who knows?
Yeah, and then you throw into like, is this DNA laboratory corrupted to the point where it wouldn't potentially recognize a relic hominid, which is some of the issues with the Melba Ketchum stuff, I would argue is.
Well, think about that. Bobby.
It's like
you spend $10,000, you get a piece of paper that says inexclusive. We don't know what it is, and that costs you $10,000. That doesn't prove that's a Bigfoot. I mean,
my goal in life is. I was just gonna say my goal in life is to make $1,000 feel like how $20 feels now, and maybe in those situations, that might be appropriate. But like again, you're right. It's a pretty fat chunk of change to get that analyzed, and then it's like, is this trustworthy? Is this corrupted by a mainstream establishment, academia, and science? Are they even going to give me my results, accurately so as not to jeopardize the mainstream narrative of hominids and whatnot? So there's all kinds of little corruptible variables in that situation, in addition to the overall price of it. So. Yeah, I agree with you. It's sketchy business to drop that kind of scratch on a little hair that you found in the woods,
Exactly.
It's a belief system. To me, it's all a belief system. I think it's easier to hunt for ghosts than it is to hunt a Bigfoot.
Probably.
Because
I could see that.
At least ghosts, in theory, people have died all around us, all around this world. So there's always some kind of a spirit energy. Bigfoots are usually up in the woods in the high places where you can't get to. So I'm saying if you want to be a researcher for something, paranormal is probably easier.
aside from like monetary incentive and getting it recognized by science, as far as like the that one time I was abducted by aliens / Bobby's Cryptid Corner audience, and probably yours as well, Eric, it's like who cares? Like, who are we trying to convince at this point? It doesn't matter. Like, I might be trying to convince myself. That's one thing, because I'm kind of just a general whatever about this stuff because I've never experienced anything. But it's like fucking like, okay, so you bring a body of a Bigfoot to, Penn State or whatever, or to the news, and it's like, well, it's real, and people have to eat crow, and that's that. So I don't really care, to be honest. I don't care to prove it one way or the other. I just want to explore the topic, So, Eric, on your channel, I noticed that you handle everything from cryptids. You have a cryptid section, you have a world news, you have UFOs, and then you have general paranormal. Is that accurate?
Drink.
I am hold on, my fault. Let me see here. I got Sasquatch, Mothman, Dogman, section, UFO, aliens, paranormal effect is basically paranormal section, Matrix.
The point is,
I do everything.
Yes, you do everything. So I got to ask, for you personally, is there a topic of high strangeness that you prefer or find most interesting?
Well, when I first started my channel, I mean, it was mostly okay. Actually, I got to correct this.
Okay.
I got to correct this. When I first did a channel, it was mostly paranormal stuff. Paranormal. I tried to possess a doll live on air. I made my own Ouija board. You know, try to do a doll conduit. So I used to do a lot of that kind of stuff. Try to do possession, trying to force paranormal to happen, which I'm bad luck at it because nothing really happened. Except actually last week, my green screen came down when I asked the ghost to move something. That was fucking exciting.
Ooh,
First real thing that has ever happened to me. But when we really started the channel, it wasn't UFO. It wasn't a Bigfoot and all that. It was actually a word that everybody thinks is crazy. Everybody thinks is nuts. Once you hear the words, they run away. The word is what I'm talking about is actually the Mandela effect. Most people hear that, they're like, fuck, you guys are crazy. My brother was 100%, Dr. Wu was 100% into Mandela effect back in 2015 and 2016. And he was talking about changes, memory changes, why things are one way, one thing another. So he got strikes on his channel. So one day he wanted to do a live show. He came on mine and we talked about why people believe in the Mandela effect. I mean, we started the channel. What is it? What's the belief? What is all the effects people are saying? And actually it grew from there and all that. And then of course the paranormal, because I was so intrigued. I wanted to learn everything. And I never wanted to do a channel just on one thing because to me that's boring. You know, I want to understand UFOs and not just UFOs. You know, there's stories that UFOs, there's a connection with the Bigfoot. You know, they say UFOs are connected with paranormal. You know, I wanted to hear everybody's stories. I wanted to hear, because you watch the news, you watch the media, you're never going to hear the truth. They're only going to tell you what they want you to know. The truth
about
comes from people
anything.
like yourself. And all that. And I never, on my channel, Bobby, I never force any beliefs on the people. I tell everybody, when I do my paranormal news channel, I tell everybody, it's up to you what you want to believe in. I'm just here to show a video, share a story.
Let's go one by one as to what you cover and where you stand on the legitimacy of the phenomenon. So
yes, please.
We'll end with cryptids because this is, you know, whatever. So you mentioned Mandela effect. Are you do you give that any credence?
Okay. The name itself is fucking stupid.
Okay.
The name is fucking stupid. The name
it's bad branding. Yes.
The name is based on a lie. Broom wrote a book, and she needed the phenomenon of it is real. The name of it is not real. Nelson Mandela, in my opinion, never died twice. But the phenomenon is real. So I fucking hated the name. And I believe there's something there because I know, I mean, go do something simple. I hate doing simple things because people say, oh God, here's Mandela effect. Here's the Monopoly guy. Here's the freaking a Moonraker or Ed McMahon. You know, and
Berenstain Bears, like I remember that, and Snow White, the mirror on the wall. Yeah. There's so many on there that I'm like, what?
Yeah, me too. Same thing.
Yeah,
there's
that's
so many of them.
Like guys, like
cup of noodles, cup noodles, not cup noodles. Like what the cup of noodles? Like what the fuck?
You know, my research was
that could be simple.
Well, my research is like this. Like one of my biggest ones for me is the braces, Dolly with braces, Moonraker, because I grew up on James Bond, right? Roger Moore was my age. And when I watch it, you know, Dolly had braces. Now she doesn't. And I want to know why.
Whoa,
you know, my question was, why do I have that memory? Now, some people might say, well, there was a commercial with another girl wearing braces. Now, first of all, I've never seen that commercial. Okay, that could be true. But no matter what, I still have that memory. You know, you could tell me every reason why I shouldn't think that. You could tell me, well, this is why you thought that. But you still can't change my memory of her wearing braces. It's in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it is. Now, the problem with the Mandela effect community is one of the things I've learned and I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to say this, but
especially
there's
on
a lot
Reddit
of people that will use false Mandela effects just to be part of a community, right?
Sure.
All the time. I see these shows, you know, they ask people, what are your top 10? And I'll see this 30-year-old kid saying, my number 1 or number 3 is Nelson Mandela. He died twice. And I'm like, first of all, I'm like, you're 30 fucking years old. He supposedly died in 1984. You weren't even born yet.
You weren't even there. Yeah.
you know, and I'm not here to disprove people, but I'm like, come on, be real
bullshit.
about it. Not everybody has the same memory. It's fine not to have the same memory. But my thought process is I want to know why people think a certain way and what's the answer. Now, we always play this game. Mandela effect's real. Let's just pretend that it's real. 100% phenomenon is real. Why is it real? You know, that's the next fun game. Is it a multiverse? Is it the creator making clues for us on the changes? Or is it time travel? Or are we living in a matrix? I love this shit because you get to dive into it and kind of figure out why.
Like good old fashioned.
It's a mystery.
People don't remember things as accurately as other people. I think that I understand of all the things of high strangeness, I really sympathize with the, I guess, debunking of the Mandela effect. But at the same time, it's like, well, if we subscribe to, I guess, like subjective reality and things like that, or the multiverse, it's like, okay,
Thank you, Dad.
You can debunk it all you want, but these people still believe it. Does that mean it's not a real thing?
Well,
so it's at least a phenomenon, right?
You could debunk anything. You could debunk UFOs. You could debunk a Bigfoot. It's a process. It's a belief system. Now Mandela effect goes more than just music changes, movies. It's like you put your keys on this table, then you go get them. They're gone. Somehow they're in the bedroom. Is that a Mandela effect? Is that a change, or was that a ghost? It makes you
so
think.
Eric, what was your like Mandela effect that was like, whoa, like what was your number one?
I did a paranormal news today, and I found myself a new one that I know it fucking wasn't there. Okay, on my paranormal news channel today, the movie Weird Science. I did something about a month ago that the music at the end of the movie changed, where it wasn't Rocky. It was actually the Weird Science song about Oingo Boingo, which is a kick-ass fucking band. Okay,
yes.
Oingo Boingo is fucking awesome. But now somebody says, well, actually, I found that song. They've replaced it. Okay, whatever. But I watched it again last night because it was on Stars or Peacock. What a fucking stupid name for a streaming service.
It's NBC.
But I was watching again, and there was a scene in the movie where Lisa, the chick that they made from a computer, which I say that movie is the original Matrix movie. That movie is fucking more Matrix than the Matrix movie. Okay, she's wearing this leather jacket. And now I watched it last night. I'm like, what the fuck? That leather jacket's got number 13 on there. That 13 wasn't there. And I watched the movie over and over my whole life because I grew up on it. That's my age. And now there's a 13.
Yeah.
It's like watching Meatballs. Meatballs, where there's a scene where Bill Murray is in a hot dog contest. And now he's wearing a brand new red sweater with a number 13 on it. Where before, he didn't wear no sweaters in that movie. It was all Hawaii shirts.
Yeah.
It's like, is there a sign for me? There's a 13. Now, this is what I believe, Bobby.
That's a very occult number as well.
This is what I believe, Bobby. I always say, if there's a change, and there's a change for you, there's got to be a reason why. Because something doesn't change just to change. There has to be a reason why. And the fun part is researching it. Because look at the Monopoly guy with the Monopoly eye, right? We did a whole show on why do we think? Is there a clue here? Is it trying to tell us something? And we go all the way back where a woman in the late 1800s technically made the game Monopoly. It was called the Landlord Game. And she made it to teach young people on how to buy land because only the rich people were buying it and the poor people weren't playing in the game. So she was teaching these people. Well, in a typical world, a man stole her idea, stole the game, and sold it to Parkin Brothers and called it Monopoly. But now they recognized it and they actually finally gave her money for it. But I think the clue there was about telling people that women were getting ripped off all through time and men were stealing it. And this woman was teaching young people on how to buy land. See, that's the fun that I like to do with Mandela Effect. If there's a change, why? Then research it all the way back, because even if the effect is real to people, the history that you learn from it is priceless.
Yeah, it may just be something that shifted in this particular timeline or realm of reality. It may not be something supernatural, right? Bree,
if you go on the screen, type in Landlord Game. It's exactly Monopoly. I mean, she was ripped off. And men did not like that a woman was teaching young people on how to buy land and to get into the game.
Scandalous.
I forgot her name. Forgot the woman's name. It's on one of my channels.
No, Jamie's gone. Bree, what is your Mandela Effect, mind-blowing Mandela Effect? You mentioned Berenstain Bears.
I did mention that one. But I think that Snow White was probably the number one.
The Mirror,
just
Mirror
because that was my first Disney movie that I owned as a child. I mean, it was the first Disney movie ever. But
what is the difference there again? Remind me.
It's Mirror, Mirror on the Wall, but now it is
Magic Mirror.
Magic Mirror on the Wall.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
I feel like we all know it's Mirror, Mirror on the Wall. Who's the fairest one of all?
And there are people who say, well, it was in a book, it was in this. Okay, you can say that, but I still have that memory of Mirror, Mirror.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, now,
at least that's how everyone said it, like when they were referencing that scene.
Now, there is one type of Mandela Effect that I fucking hate, that it's very popular right now for whatever reason. I hate when people talk about Bible changes. I really do. I hate the Bible changes.
It's been written a million times.
Well,
it's written a million times, and there's a million books. And Bree, you ask any of these people who are saying there's a change, have you actually read the Bible? No, but I read the famous
I read that old quote.
Mandela Effect about it.
And you need to read more than one Bible, because there's hundreds of Bibles in different cultures. So, I mean, when people talk about
there's a lot of easy explanation with that one, I would say.
Yeah, no. I think the only Bible one I think anyone could ever say would be like if Jesus all of a sudden never died on a cross. That would be like the one and only Bible pass.
Which is the Bible, like, let's be honest.
Now Jesus burn on the cross or die on the cross. Then I'd be like, okay, shit is different. But no,
he died on a Ford Pinto.
A million different versions, and it's so stupid.
Yeah, it's too hard because every culture, and then remember the books gets rewritten to be reproduction to be sold again, so it gets rewritten again, rewritten, and whoever sells it, I'm not saying they're changing things to match what their religion beliefs are, but let's be honest,
well,
they do it. It's written by men. I
think it's regularly updated for the modern, no pun intended, but the modern vernacular. I think it's not like even a Bible written in the 1800s is probably going to sound different than when you go by like tomorrow. You know, like just because it's relatively updated, I would argue or assume at least for modern dialect or whatever. Where'd Jamie go?
She's gone.
Jamie's gone. Okay, so mine is I can pretty much explain
Obviously,
away.
hers was cup of noodle.
Yes, that's right. She's was cup of noodle. That's pretty crazy.
To me, that's
I can explain away the vast majority of the Mandela Effect in my own reality. However, the C-3PO has a silver leg, I believe, in A New Hope. At the beginning of A New Hope.
Okay, that one.
That one really melted my brain when I first read that and researched it.
Now, see, this is me. Star Wars, I'm a nerd. Star Wars was the first movie I ever saw at the theater when I was a kid. Now, there's two major Mandela effects in the movie of Star Wars. the silver leg and Luke, I'm your father. No, I'm your father.
Oh, that's right. I'm your father, not Luke. I'm your father.
For me, I remember Luke, I am your father. Now with the leg, I always remember the leg was actually silver. Because part of the problem is that when he's on the planet, the silver reflects the gold. And then, of course, over time, they keep cleaning up the movie to HD, and it's looking more silver.
Kind of like the Bible.
Now this is the problem with Star Wars, too. The hardest thing about Mandela effects with Star Wars is George Lucas, right? Now, George Lucas is known to make changes to his movies. We all know that.
Correct.
But a lot of people don't know Empire Strikes Back came out 1981, and while it was in the theaters, only 1 week on the screen, he actually made some changes to the movie. He changed the end because he didn't like it. He has made changes to his movies even when it's at the theater. Okay. And nowadays it's a lot easier because they can just do digitally and they can change things.
And he literally did that in the late 90s.
I've always said
a different Max Rebo band.
I've always said that they should change the Mandela Effect name to Lucas Effect, because I feel that Lucas is more Mandela than fucking Nelson Mandela, because back in 1964, people don't know that George Lucas wanted to be a race car driver and not a director. He almost died in a car crash. If you type in Merced, where he's from, he almost died, went to the hospital, and some people did say he died, came back, and that's where his Mandela mind came, because because that's where he developed Star Wars, and everybody knows that the prequels and the original 3 don't line up word for word. He kept changing things.
All his talent came from
some people say
accident coma.
Some people say he keep getting different memories when he's writing these movies, so that's why a lot of the dialogue don't line up.
This didn't happen. He's like, yes, it did.
Exactly.
It's my movie.
So I think they should call it.
That's crazy. I never heard that. But that totally makes sense, because there's so many different versions, and there's so much debate about the different versions as to what people remember, what people prefer, and all that shit. So yeah, that's very interesting, to be honest. I'm going to start researching that a bit more. C-3PO for me, Eric had Moonraker and something else. Anyway, Bree, yours was
mine was probably gonna be Mirror Mirror. I know there's another one, and I just can't think of what. Like, there's so many now.
There really are so many, and
there's no right or wrong. I was gonna say how when you think of Mandela effect, obviously it's irritating, because of Nelson Mandela's situation, but have always thought of it differently, just because I never remember that period. But I think of like an actual mandala, like an actual mandala, like art form. And I've always thought that the Mandela effect has something weird to do with trans dimensions and timelines and things. And that's kind of what a mandala is. It's a sacred geometry, and I always think it correlates that way. So maybe you could just start thinking of it like that, and not as much Nelson Mandela. But that's how I've always felt like there's a correlation there.
Like I said, you don't have to believe in the name. You can believe in the phenomenon. The name is to sell books.
True.
Interesting.
Just like everything, though.
Eric, what is your stance on, let's say, ghosties and poltergeists and whatnots? Talk to me about that.
Talk to me.
Well,
talk to me, baby.
Spirits are real. Ghosts are real. It's all real, because it's all based on energy, and I do feel like, I hear stories of we do a bunch of shows like near-death experiences, seeing things, seeing that, and there's just too many people that have experiences and stories about ghosts. Is everybody lying in this fucking world? Or it's all the mediums are out not mediums? I mean, there's just too much. Now, I'll be honest. I think I said on Chad's channel, Chad Smith Podcast, that I'm like the bad luck guy. Like if you go into a haunted house, bring me, because nothing would happen. It's like I'm the kryptonite. I'm the kryptonite for ghosts because I want to force things to happen. But a good friend of mine named Nicole from the Veil Paranormal told me, Eric, a lot of times paranormal is happening around you. You're just not in tune with it enough to really want to pay attention to it. You need to sometimes slow down and concentrate. It's there. And then, just like last week, Chad did a reading and he pulled a card called Ancestor. There is a connection here. Okay. Amber's Paraworld, she's a medium. And before that Ancestor card, she gave me a private reading. And she says some things. I know everybody always says this, that there's no way nobody knows. But she talks about an ancestor that she sees somebody next to me. And she described like this head issue that nobody knew that my relative had cancer right here. And it was the dented. And she saw it. And I never talked about it on air. And then because of Chad's card, I did EVP. I was doing it right here for fun, EVP. And I said, make something move. Then all of a sudden, it was caught live. That's what I loved about it. I turned around and my fucking screen just came down. And I heard it and I watched it. And I was so happy because it was like, finally. Is there an explanation? I don't give a shit. Something actually finally.
That's a pretty profound coincidence.
Yeah, it's beyond coincidental.
It just fell down on its own. Okay, but that was an hour into the show. So just by luck, it stayed up there to that exact minute when I was asking something to move, and then it decided to fall off. I don't care what people say.
Nah.
Something moved for me to make me believe that, Eric, continue, because it is all real. I do believe it's real because there's just too many stories. Because, like I said, it's based on energy and all that. Now, we know a lot of these TV shows. I mentioned it. My daughter, she's 14 now, but my daughter and I used to watch all these ghost shows when she was 4 years old. Yes, I let my daughter watch horror movies. I'm a bad parent, but now she's not scared of nothing. Thanks to me.
No, you're not a bad parent.
Yeah, I turned out fine.
You watch those shows, they all hear something, they scream, they run. Like, well, after the 14th season, shouldn't they be a little immune to that by now? But it's real. I was in New York, and my wife's, she's from New York, so I always got to go to New York like every 2 years. Lucky me, right? I'm not a big fan of New York, but it's so pretty. But her grandma actually, on her property, she has a graveyard on her property. They have an actual graveyard. And we did an EVP, and we actually caught a sound. Like, wow, finally caught a sound. So I know it exists. But I'm just not lucky as most people to always get to hear these voices and see these things. But I'm searching. I'm still, after last week, I'm re-energized because I know it's real. I just got to take the advice of Amber Paraworld. Actually gave me a private reading last night with 3 other people. And they all come up the same thing. They all say the same thing. Eric, it shows here that you need to relax your brain and kind of meditate, and you'll start seeing these things. And that's what I got to do. I don't know if that's the trick. That's the key. But I know it's there.
So was last week your only seemingly paranormal ghost-like poltergeisty experience?
Something like that.
Or have you had other ones in the past?
Well, I mean, I've seen things look like things were moved, but I never really had proof. I'm always second guessing myself that could be.
Sure.
But the one when the screen moved is the first one I could say that fucking really happened.
Yeah,
I was there. I've seen it.
And the chat was there, and it sounds like at least even the people in our chat that caught it were like, that was crazy, If you asked for something to be moved and it did that, it was like, that's a lot of energy there. That's like, Bobby, here you go.
I'm not a person that's going to make up stuff just because I want to get views in chat. I won't do that. I mean, I want things to move every day too, but I'm not going to make up an orb and all that. Most orbs that I look at, I'm skeptic on orbs because orbs to me is the hardest thing to even try to prove. So when I look at orb videos, I'm looking at the color, the size, and how it's moving. You got to be true to yourself because sometimes I'm not going to be one of those people just to lie and
bases in them.
Views. But I love
before we move on to Eric and his relationship with UFOs, do you have any questions in regards to ghosties?
Ghosties with the mosties. Have you ever had any, or I should say this, you grew up around people that basically taught you manners when it comes to being out in the forest and the woods and Bigfoot and all that. Did you have anyone around you that also spoke about things in the paranormal or ghosts and things like that? Also saying that, like,
honestly,
it's, this happens, or...
No, because I grew up in a house with all men and boys, and if there's a ghost, they're too afraid
to say that they saw something
in our house. Now I lived. It's hard to explain my life because I lived. My mom left when I was a baby, so we had she left the car. Stole my money, my father's money, and all that. So we had to live in a rundown apartment complex by an auction. I live connected to an auction almost my whole kid's life. So growing up, I had don't get me wrong, I grew up great, but I grew up in a community where we were the only white family. It was all Mexicans. It was great. And the thing is, growing up with people Spanish, they have a lot of spiritual beliefs.
Yeah, for sure.
They really do. They believe in the religion. They believe in I go to their houses. I always eat food at their houses because they have the best fucking
Mexican
food.
Food's the fucking best.
And they accept all of you, it's kind of different. You hear stories that a Mexican family or
This might answer your question. According to
sorry about that. This went off. I don't know why.
Is that Alexa talking about Mexicans?
It must be. But they're so spiritual, and they would talk about like ghosts is real and all that, and we grow up. Everybody wants to do that Bloody Mary through the window at night, and they always tell, don't do that because it will.
I did that
happen.
as a child a lot. I did.
You're flirting with some sketchy stuff there.
It's kind of I'm not almost funny, but it's like it seems like culture wise, beyond. I know my skin's white. Beyond the white skin, other cultures believe in the spirituals a lot more, and at least I had the opportunity to grow up with them and understand why. Because they say spirits are supposed to go one way, but sometimes spirits get lost, and they got to do unfinished business. I know how weird that sounds, but before they even go, and all that. So I don't know if that answers any of the questions.
No, it totally does, and I agree. We talk about that a lot on the show, is about how, especially in the case of like cryptids, when you start to hear these stories, a lot of them are, oh my God, I saw this crazy cryptid, and it's like the indigenous folks have been talking about that for centuries, right? Because they're just more connected to that realm or that spiritual side of things, I guess. So
yeah. I always say you got to follow the source too. Any kind of a creature, or cryptids, or anything. When you hear stories, you got to follow the source. Where is this story coming from? Are these people who's telling you the story real? Because I don't care how many evidence people say they have. You don't know if their evidence is real or not. Nothing's real unless nothing's 100% real unless you're there doing it yourself. I always say follow your source, follow who's telling you this, and then it still comes down at the end. It's a belief system. Until it happens to you. And that's one of the things I always hate about skeptics, right? Everybody's a skeptic until it actually happens. I'm always like, well, please keep an open mind to everything. There's things I believe more than 90%, but always leave it 10% because you just never know in this world.
It doesn't cost anything to just be open to this. It's like, I don't understand. I talk to people all the time that are just like, if you even start to remotely mention this kind of stuff, it's just like they just shut down and think you're crazy. But I'm like, I'm not saying one way or the other, but like, don't be afraid to at least either A, talk about it, and or B, be open to the possibility. I just don't understand that mentality, but we see it all the time. So yeah, you're right. I totally agree.
I hope that dies off. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it will slowly.
Yeah, as we atomize and fracture into the metaverse, and everyone's just tuned into their internet echo chambers, everything.
Let's talk about the number one thing. To me, the number one thing is the most hardest to prove. We all know UFOs are the most hardest to prove, especially nowadays when you look up, because with drones and everything, I mean, UFOs is really a belief system. I do believe in UFOs. Now, hold on. UFOs, undefined flying objects. I mean, everybody has to believe in UFO. If you don't recognize it, it's a damn UFO. I truly do believe we have been visited from other planets, and we are still being visited. Because if you're gonna tell me that this fucking planet is the only planet that has life, then you're crazy. You're freaking crazy. I can't tell you.
You're also not very smart, in my opinion, because I feel like science tells you otherwise.
Well, listen,
science is like there's bound to be.
This is a problem with science, right? It's just you can find science to prove your point, right? You can find science to prove it, and you can also find science to disprove it. It's like medicine you buy in a store. They say they recommend it, they don't recommend it. I mean, there is no 100% pure
framing a narrative
science. And I can't. Yeah. I hate when I hear death experience is just when you die, your brain does a little electricity and all your memories in the past. Really? How do you know? You are all the scientists doing flatlining, killing themselves?
Like, were you there?
Back?
Kiefer Sutherland. Yeah. No, I agree. So you had mentioned that something interplanetary as far as UFOs go. Would you say that you are someone that thinks that these are visitors from beyond the stars as opposed to something else, like an interdimensional thing?
Well, there's always different talks, right? Outer somewhere else, or interdimensional, future coming in, portals and that kind of stuff. I believe mostly we're visited from somewhere else, that other planets are checking us out. Now, people always ask, well, why aren't they here? Well, because they know that we're fucking animals still. Yes, we can think you're right. But mankind wants to kill whatever they don't understand. Why would they come? I always say there's only two reasons why they will come. To investigate us or to destroy us. There is no in between.
You're basing that assumption on human motives.
True.
You know what I mean?
If they invented us.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's different. That's going deeper on that they put us here. I mean, there are theories to take genetic material that we are planted here. I mean, I've heard that, and that could be possible. I'm not saying that's not possible.
I like the kind of like terrarium theory where we're just kind of this what do they call it? Like a petri dish where they're putting different things into the petri dish to see what happens, kind of thing. So UFOs, Eric, have you had any experiences yourself?
Nothing major where I could sit here and say that is a flying saucer. The problem is growing up in Fresno, we have a little more military base, and all that. So when you see lights, I mean, you can disprove, but I never have it where at 100% I can say that is a flying saucer. That is not
right.
Nothing major like that. No, but I know they.
Yeah, I mean, the literal interpretation is unidentified flying object, obviously. But I think that a lot of the things, I think the vast majority of things claim to be UFO sightings or military, whether it's something public or not, to be honest. But so it doesn't necessarily UFOs. I shouldn't have phrased it that way. UFOs shouldn't. That word shouldn't define my question, I guess. So you believe in aliens. What about like the general, the typical archetypes like the Greys and the reptilians and, the Nordics and all that kind of stuff? Where do you stand on the different?
We did talk about a lot of reptilians. We all know that the royal family of England's all reptiles.
Yeah.
Now
you speak my language.
I don't subscribe to that, man.
Well, I mean, I've heard all those theories. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm 100% believer in reptilians and all that.
I've always said it would never surprise me if that did turn out to be the case.
Exactly. It would have surprised me. Like, remember the old TV show V in the 80s where they tear out the
that makes sense.
That's the farthest I would say a reptilian is from an outer space. But here, I mean, anything's possible.
Sure.
I mean, but I don't talk a whole lot about the reptilians. I'm not fully into that, but I love hearing other people talk about it.
Man.
So you're kind of indifferent on that one. What about just like the Go ahead, Bree.
I was just going to say there's a lot. That's what I like to say, well, at least what I have been calling it for a while now, is like UFO lore, right? We have like ufology, where we're actually like studying cases or craft, sightings. And then there's kind of a spin-off, which I consider lore, which could have some truth in it. But I feel like it's lore because that's kind of like deep added information that we wouldn't have unless it came from a experiencer, and those are under very extreme circumstances. So I like to consider like ufology and UFO lore like different things. You know what I mean?
When you started getting into blue avians, I'm kind of like,
I do believe they have crashed before, and the government has. I'm not saying they're alive, but they know about it, and they have experimented on some. I know they have. I mean,
for sure.
I can't prove it, but I know they have.
For sure. I believe that 100%. I just think when you start to get into like different alien species, where they come from, what they want, those kind of things, we can't prove that. That's all speculation, but it's stories that then gain a lot of momentum, and so many other people start to also say that they also met with these people, or they had dreams of these people, and then like that's when I put it in the lore category, which doesn't mean it's not true, but I just consider it UFO lore. It's just like fairy tales. Who's to say that doesn't come from something legitimate, from somewhere? But
it's at least inspired by something tangible.
It could have been inspired by something.
And don't get me wrong, we all know after the movie that Steven Spielberg did, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, then everybody have seen that shape. We know stuff like that happens when the image is out there, but it doesn't mean it's not real. I'm not saying they I don't know if they look like the one, the Close Encounters, but I mean, it could be a possibility, but we also got to know that movies create things too, because all throughout history, it seemed like almost every 10 years there's a new shape of a spaceship. Why would it be a new shape? Like the old flying saucer back in the 50s and the 60s, more of a hut calf. It seemed like things change almost every 10 years.
And then the airship thing of like we
have lots of theories on how that could be the case, though.
I mean, it could be. I'm not saying it's not wrong, but I always gotta.
Of course, you have to have somewhat of a critical brain on when you
gotta
look
be a
at these topics.
Somewhat.
If you are taking it seriously. If you are taking it seriously, then I think you should always have your skeptic hat on. That doesn't mean that you throw everything out and that you're an asshole about it. It's just you should come at it from that point of view to work yourself into truth rather than dive right into believing and not looking at the bigger picture.
Mm-hmm.
Or else we're just believing anything that we hear,
And I hate how the government just like laughs. Like, we're gonna show the world some of our stuff that we have found. We're gonna release this to the world. Like, shut the fuck up.
No, they're not.
That's kind of where I go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, if they have something that they know for a fact it's an alien there, they're not gonna release it. I don't care who they are. They'll release some stupid stuff where we say, well, we don't know what it is. Kind of like I play a lot of UFO clips on my Paranormal News. I did one with all the presidents.
Oh.
Well, there are UFOs. Okay, they're emitting that unidentified flying objects, but they're not emitting anything that's from another world. It's just like they want to tease you and slap you. Now the problem is, now when there really is something that's real, they can come out and say, "Oh, it's just a UFO flying object. It could have been a drone."
Yeah.
Now they can use anything as cover up. You're never gonna know what's real.
It's about controlling the narrative and conditioning the population to look to the government to define what it is and isn't real, right? And that's where I've been diving down some rabbit holes lately about how the whole UFO phenomenon. Again, I'm not an experiencer, and I'm not saying this to judge anyone that is, but the whole phenomenon seems, especially in regards to Hollywood and where it went during the Cold War, the saucer thing versus the previous kind of H.G. Wells airship thing. It feels like not to say it's not real or not, but it feels like some sort of higher human power or institution is trying to condition people to something or steer our perception of these things for some agenda or another. And I don't know what that agenda is. If you want to go down the Project Bluebeam route, we could do that sometime. But I'm just saying, like, a lot of this stuff seems relatively engineered, but that's not to say all of it literally is, right? So interesting.
No, it's definitely
anything else before we move on to what's that?
Oh no, it's not all engineered. I'll say that.
Right. No, I agree.
But that's
so cryptids. No, I totally agree with you. Again, it's not. It's like when there is some sort of phenomenon, I feel like the powers that be try to co-opt it in some way to shift it one way or the other. And that's not to say it's not real. It's just, I think there's a lot of deceit implanted into the whole thing. So, let's do cryptids, Gypsy Road. We touched on it a little bit earlier tonight.
The problem with cryptids is cryptids, different creatures, different things around the world, and it's hard to know, like Bigfoot. In America, we call them the Sasquatch. In some countries, they're the Yeti. In Japan, they call it the Hibagon Bigfoot. The sea creatures and all that. I mean, there's so many different kind of cryptids, and we know. Listen, there's parts of the ocean that we can never get to. It's too deep. The pressure of a submarine can't go to certain areas. So we know there's creatures and life forms that's out there that we can't reach. If it goes back to dinosaur days, it goes back to dinosaur days. But cryptids are hard now. Are you talking about certain kind of cryptids? Like, are you narrowing it down to certain, or just overall?
Well, okay. Let's just start with the classic. Let's go Bigfoot. Where do you talk to me about your personal relationship or stance on that phenomenon?
Well, we all know I believe 100% in the Bigfoot, and it's already just like, we're all humans, but in Asia, they're different looking than us. They're, Africa, we're all humans, but they look different than us. China, Russia, all parts in the world. Bigfoots is no different. Bigfoots have cousins in other countries. The Yeti is mostly white. The Hibagon Bigfoot. I mean, it's all, they're all related, but of course they adapt and look more to the environment that they're from. They're probably, probably Iceland, they're probably a lot more hairier than they are here in Washington and stuff because it's colder in Iceland. So, Bigfoot is real. It's all around the world. It's just, I had a guy on my channel that we interview. It's from Japan. He's from America. He moved to Japan. And it's so interesting that when you learn about the Hibagon Bigfoot, he was showing us this graph of all the hot spots where the Bigfoot is in Japan. But then he also showed us a graph of missing people in Japan. And all the missing people somehow lined up perfectly with all the sightings of the Hibagon Bigfoot, the Japanese Bigfoot.
Whoa.
So there's so much to learn from other countries that then just beyond here. Yeti is, to me, just another Bigfoot. Now, let's talk about Dogman. Dogman is
brother.
More of a werewolf-looking thing, but it's still related to the Bigfoot, I believe.
It's a little
And then what about the Wendigons? You got the Wendigons. You have, how about the Skinwalkers? The native beliefs.
Don't say that again.
Right?
Don't say that again.
No, I'm just saying Skinwalker. No, it's not. Like the natives find if you even mention the name Skinwalker, it's like a bad.
Oh.
All right, sorry, I wasn't. I was just making a okay.
No, I mean, Australia's got their version of a Bigfoot. It's just different countries have different names, but it's all related. You're just. Do
you find it to be the
environment that you're in? The Yowie.
Do you think it's a flesh and blood thing?
The Yowies in Australia.
Do you think it's flesh and blood, or is it something bigger than that? Is it something psychological or interdimensional, or kind of where do you stand on that?
No, for me, they're not interdimensional. To me, Bigfoots are flesh and blood. They are their own species.
Yeah,
they live out in the woods like a bear and a deer does. They're their own people. They're just smarter than us. They know better. They've been there longer. They were there before we were born. Before we existed. They're going to be there after we existed. They just know that they come out from hiding, we're going to kill them. Because that's what humans do. But they're flesh and blood. I don't believe they're interdimensional. We did have a show one time where maybe they're from another planet and they're interdimensional here. That could be a possibility, but for my belief system, I think they're flesh and blood. They're another species.
But you're not. It doesn't sound like you're in the box of, mainstream science to the point where you're not open to the possibility that they are something beyond just flesh and blood.
Oh hell no, because we don't know everything.
Right. Oh yeah.
We're just scratching the surface of what we know now. Nobody freaking knows. It's just like when people say, "Oh, these Bigfoot people, they're the expert hunters." Really, they are? How many Bigfoots have they got in their backyard chained up?
Right. It's kind of an even playing field.
Are more experts in tracking. People are better trackers, but there is no expert because most Bigfoot sightings come from people who are just hiking in the woods. They were there looking for a Bigfoot. Most of your original sightings are from more people that are not so-called professional hunters.
Sure. No, yeah, and I feel like the people that are going out to look for them are rarely ever the ones that come across them.
Should be.
It always seems to be from someone not particularly looking for it, or a lot of times people that don't even believe it in the first place.
And there's things out there we're never going to fully understand. Sometimes. I mean, you just gotta dig away and study, listen to people's stories, and just. Now, I always tell people, like you said, if you're gonna be a skeptic, fine, but listen to the stories because you never know. You might be in a situation like, oh, I remember them saying like this. Maybe I should do this. Listen, because you never know. You just never know.
Yeah.
Do I want to have a ship come down my backyard? Fuck yeah. But
that's so funny because I was always.
I don't know.
I grew up horrified of aliens and UFOs and alien abduction stuff now, and now I'm like, hey, let's fucking party. Like, come on down. I want to see you. I want to see that shit.
How funny that you were afraid
where
of them.
I live in a town called Des Moines, connected to Seattle. Seattle, Berrien, there's Des Moines. We have one of the first folklore stories about the very first Men in Black ever recorded on paper in my area, where UFOs back in I can't remember, 1956, that was UFOs in the Puget Sound, and then some guy saw it, and then the first record of a Men in Black convinced him to not tell your story. I always tell people, man, learn your area. There's so many folklore stories. There's so many stuff that's in your own area. You don't have to go to all the freaking hot spots people say they are.
Do you know anyone in your... Do you know anyone in your area personally? Like, I know I always ask people that are that are from that part of the country is like, what percentage of the population would you say is either a believer or an experiencer?
Where I'm at, of course, in Washington, there's a more belief in the Bigfoot than actually the paranormal. But you gotta understand, Seattle Supersonic had a Sasquatch mascot. We have the law. Bigfoot is part of the state of Washington. So, of course, there's going to be a higher belief system in that versus anything else because it's part of the culture. And that's the only way. When people on my channel, sometimes I'll play commercials of the Bigfoot for fun. And people are like, why are you playing commercials? It's because to get people to change their minds, you got to make it part of the culture. I think of myself growing up in the mountains where my family always talked about Bigfoot like he's part of the forest. You got to respect it. They made it part of the culture. So it's not a shock when I hear people talk about it because people don't make things part of the culture. That's why I tell people, listen to UFO stories, make it part of your culture because when it happens, at least you already heard about it. You know about it. Make it a culture. Like you said, I think you said it early in the show. if you really want people to learn this stuff, you can't just do a show and expect people to come in to learn it. You have to be going on other community shows, you got to be like a salesperson and tell it to people because they're not going to come to you. The ones who already come to you are already part of the community. You want to get the other people. You need to go to where they're at, and you just got to learn how to speak their language.
Yeah, how many experiencers of any of this kind of stuff are out there that either A, like just don't want to talk about it, or B, aren't interested enough to talk about? Like there's got to be more than just the people that follow this stuff that are.
Hey, Bobby, you said it perfectly. There's people who do believe in this stuff. They just don't care. Their life is too busy. You got to go to work every day. You got to pay your taxes. Your car is breaking down. They just don't have time to look into this stuff. It's not that they don't believe it. They just don't care because they're like, well, how's that going to change my life?
Right.
You know?
Right. It's like when you try to point out any of like really anything, the deep-seated injustices of the world. People are like, all right, well, what the fuck do you want me to do about it? I got to go to work. That kind
exactly.
of stuff.
I was talking to this one guy about the Mandela effect. He goes, honestly, why would I want to fall in that rabbit hole when I got to deal with a wife at home?
I have a friend that's like
to get away from the wife at home. I'm just kidding.
Right.
Hey, I've been married 25 years, so me and my wife, we're connected. Like I said on your show, I just can't handle the two of them.
I have a friend that's a recent flat earther, and I'm just like, I don't like. It doesn't interest me enough.
What do you mean?
Like he's recently like come out as a flat earther, and I'm just like, I don't care enough about that. Like I'm a total truth junkie. Don't get me wrong. Like I want to like dig into anything. And I'm just like, it's just like so low on my totem pole of things to investigate. Plus, it's one of the most like chastised, conspiracy theories you can believe. I'm just like, there's no benefit in looking into this because it's just like, okay, what do you want me to do with this information? Like, I don't think any less of you, I guess, but it's like, all right, what else you got? You want to talk about Bigfoot? Because I want to talk about Bigfoot, that kind of thing. Yeah. So people
got the right to believe whatever they want.
Yeah.
They take the evidence the way they want it. There's nothing wrong or right with that.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. I know someone told me recently, they're like, you obviously have something against flat earthers. And I'm just like, I lost my patience. Listen, 4.5 years ago, yes. Did the episode, like, all right, let's dig into it. Let's pretend. Now, I have no patience for it.
Wow.
I'm sorry. I just cannot. I can't. Because it throws everything out. It throws all science out, and that I can't do.
It's a very tough pill to swallow.
I tried. I looked into it. I gave it my time for about 2 weeks where I threw everything out that I knew, and I just tried to come at it from that perspective. And I tried my hardest to see where they're coming from and not think of, like, my past, anything that I know. And then after that, I'm just like, no, it just made me more firm of a believer that that's not true. And I just can't throw out
and Bree, to that point, there's a lot of people out there that are total normies that have that same reaction when you try to talk to them about things like UFOs or Bigfoot.
Aliens and stuff, yeah. And I guess that's why I should have more respect for the government side of aliens and stuff, because people like that need science or someone of a higher authority, someone that's smarter than them to tell them that these things are real. And that's pretty much what the government has done for all of us since 2017, late 2017, right? Is they were like, aliens, man, these UFOs, they're legitimate.
But
still not a fan. Still don't trust them.
Remember, there's a lot of great people.
I don't trust him. I'm the one person that's
my good friend Bigfoot Anon, Connor. He does a lot of shows with me. He's a flat Earth. I have no problem with that. People can believe whatever they want to believe in, and I don't try to discredit him. He doesn't try to discredit me. It's your own belief system. I used to do interviews on my channel in the beginning with flat Earth groups. I did in the beginning. I had interviews on why they believe in it, and I heard it. And then I got to a point where the story was all the same. I don't need to do interviews no more on it. I got what I needed.
Right.
And I still feel that the Earth is round.
And that's fine too. It's just like as long as you can have like
believing that's flat.
I just don't understand the people that are so opposed to even like entertaining it, or like they're just completely any of this stuff. Really,
I'm now one of those people that
no. You've already entertained it, Brie. I'm not talking about.
I know. I tried.
You tried. That's fine. You've done more due diligence than most people.
I fucking
most
tried.
Most people won't even listen. At least you listen.
I watched lots of documentaries. It was crazy. I was like, okay.
I'm just like,
okay. And then I did this, like the rebuttal back to it science-wise, where I was like, no, this is why, and this is why, and this is why. So it was like, fuck.
I'm just like, I don't care
everything.
one way or the other, and whatever. It's not high on my list.
Unless, I don't know.
Okay.
But hey, I will give you this. I will always leave a space for me to be wrong. And if I am,
you should do that with everything.
Exciting. Yeah, I think that's usually exciting if I am wrong.
So Eric,
because then it's a whole thing to learn.
There's a flat earth group in America that just say we're not friends. We're not friends because they hate me. A lot of them hate me because they hate when I always say, what do I care if it's flat, a potato, if it's rectangle? I still got to pay taxes. I still got to feed the family. Government still lies to us no matter what. And they hate that. They get mad at me because it's more than everything.
What's your preferred like issue to be outraged about that other people don't believe? It's just like, all right, moving along. I got to go to work tomorrow. Like, what do you want from me? Kind of thing. And I
don't get outraged. Right?
I know you don't.
I respect everybody's opinions, and now I do. When I get outraged when other channels are not that way. Like she was talking about, like I have a lot of channels that are trying to bring my channel down because I when I talk about that not all of it's true, and they hate that. They want you to push. I can't do that. And I've actually have channels that are trying to strike me down, get me off because I have an open mind. Some of these channels are run by not you guys. There's some channels are run by hardcore truthers. I think about the extreme truthers, not that we all accept some truth, but there's some extremes that, my fucking God, you say something that they don't like, they actually bomb your channel. I actually had my channel bombed before.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to take that back then. Y'all don't come for me, the flat earthers. Leave me alone. I have enough haters.
Take one or two red pills. Don't take the whole bottle.
I'm so over.
Okay, so let's wrap it up real quick. I got to ask you, we've never talked about it really on this show. We've never gotten into aquatic cryptids. I know you did some content based on Nessie, on the Loch Ness Monster. Any initial thoughts on Loch Ness?
The problem with the Loch Ness Monster is basically what everybody else have seen, the pictures. Is it exists. Now, I feel that there is a creature out there, but I've never seen it. Of course, it's basically the same picture that everybody have seen. But I do believe in the Loch Ness Monster, but it's still one of the hardest things to talk about because all we got to base it on are pictures.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard a few people talk about stories. They supposedly have experiences out there, but we don't know what the truth is.
But you believe in it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I just shows there's the Hogot monster here in America.
Isn't that fake, though, the one in Wisconsin?
Wisconsin?
Yeah, I think the Hogot was like proven to be
related, right? It doesn't. A Hogot can be the same as a Loch Ness Monster. So there are a lot of multiple stories of that shape, not just over there, all through the lakes in the United States, around the world. That's why I do believe in it, because there's too many stories that are similar to people talking about the Loch Ness.
Right. Okay. So you're pretty.
Oh, somebody's asking Eric, what's the topic for tomorrow night? If anybody doesn't know, I'm actually not doing a show tomorrow night. I'm just doing a paranormal show tomorrow because it's spring break for my kids, and I'm taking all the kids to see Sonic 2. So I'm playing Daddy.
I need to see that movie. I was in Hawaii, so I watched a lot of the filming of the movie. Last time I was in Hawaii, I woke up one day and it was like right outside my balcony were just like camera things being strung on wires, and it was just crazy. It was a full-on production the whole rest of the time at the hotel. And I got to watch a bunch of scenes happen, and it looked really exciting. So I was like, I have to see it now since I watched a whole bunch of it happening, which was pretty cool. I've never stayed at a hotel where they were filming the whole time. So I got to see it.
Yeah, I get original.
Came out this weekend.
I get
Sonic
special. 2. I get special early access to some of these movies. It's where I get to see before the public does. Like tomorrow, I get to see Sonic before it comes out Thursday and Friday, and then next Wednesday, I got special passes to see the Nicolas Cage movie. That movie about he's playing himself. He's playing Nicolas Cage. I get to see that on a Wednesday.
Wait, how do you have the hookup? What's this hookup?
Because all you gotta do is buy one share. Buy one share of AMC stock. Just one share. And then you get invited to a lot of early access movies and all that kind of stuff. And when their stock dropped down to 50 cents, I bought $10 worth of stock. So I'm technically a stockholder. So they'll allow.
I should have held on to that when I did that.
Is Jim that one guy that was in Westworld? Because we ate dinner right next to him, and we tried to say hi and take pictures, and he was not into that.
But I'm excited because Sonic 2 is based in Seattle. In this movie, Sonic is playing Batman in Seattle.
Nice.
I just know that they're also on the beach, and that shit was in Hawaii. It was at the Four Seasons in Oahu. I was there.
I saw Aaron Spelling on that beach one time. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh, Jim Carrey. So Gobstoppa asked earlier today, Eric, do you know of the ghost coon?
No, what's the ghost coon?
What the ghost coon? If he's still here. I've never heard of the ghost coon.
That's a new one on me.
Yeah, what's a ghost coon?
I'm gonna put that in the notes.
Google that shit.
Is that something I'm supposed to know?
I guess it sounds kind of
ghost coon.
Ghost coon.
Where is ghost coon hiding in where red coon, almost like mythical creatures to Billy and the Pritchard boys. The little critter is noticeably difficult to catch. Huh.
I think it's just a really fast raccoon.
Yeah, so even the pictures, I was going to pull up a picture, but the pictures just look like a raccoon. It's just pictures of a raccoon.
Because it's a raccoon.
So raccoons are wild. You guys be careful.
They're so cute.
See, that's why I love doing shows. You learn new stuff every freaking day. New terms. You get to research yourself.
Ghost coon.
Ghost coon's the word of the day.
Up. This little boy is killing
ghost coon.
Raccoons.
I like that.
Get the fuck out of here. I don't want to see that shit.
All right, Eric, let me know. You also do a horror movie show / podcast channel?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've actually. I haven't done as much as I had in the past because I've been concentrating on doing paranormal news every day on my main channel, doing it 5 days a week. It takes a lot of my time, but I try to do one show a week. Like tomorrow, I will be doing a horror talk tomorrow. I usually just pick a topic of horror movies, like, I don't know, paranormal, whatever. And then we'll just talk about all movies that's related to that one term.
Right. Okay. So one thing we do towards the twilight of this show is they asked me for a recent movie recommendation. I think it's perfect for you to fill us in. Recommend anything you want, whether it be something recently that you watched or one of your all-time favorites. What do you got?
I'll show you one of my favorite. Since I never showed you guys one of my favorite horror movies.
Keep it in your pants.
Trick or Treat.
Trick or Treat.
Now hold on. Now this says Ragman because you can't buy Trick or Treat DVDs no more. But in Germany, they can't call it Trick or Treat, so they call the movie Ragman.
Yeah.
Hold on.
So this is
Trick or Treat, like the one that I like with the sack boy?
No, not the one from the early 2000s. This is Trick.
Love that
there's Trick or Treat and there's Trick or Treat. I think this is Trick or Treat.
Yeah, this Trick or Treat. This is basically about
I'm so
a rock star dies and he comes back to take revenge, and he uses his kid to play through a record. He plays a record, and then when he plays it backwards, it tells him how to take revenge. And I absolutely love this movie because
Gene Simmons is in it.
Well, Gene Simmons is the DJ in it, and Ozzy Osbourne has a scene where he's like a religion guy. But the thing is, what I love about the movie is you got to get deep into the movie. It's about how society picks on this kid because he's different. He likes music, metal music, and other kids don't. So they picked on him where they almost killed him. They almost drowned him in water. So he looks towards this record that tells him how to get revenge, and you can't blame him because they're trying to murder him. And of course, the movie where he has to destroy the main guy himself, but there's a lot of meaning in this movie about how society takes you to that point where you feel like you have to go supernatural to get revenge, because you've seen the movie, right, Bobby? They try to kill him. They try to murder him in the swimming pool.
I have
How
a
old
bootleg.
is this movie?
It's like 1985, 84. It is older. It is older.
You still have a DVD player?
Oh, hell yeah.
Well, I think you can watch
both
it.
Do?
I think YouTube. I think there's a copy actually on YouTube itself.
Yeah, look up Trick or Treat.
Great.
Yeah, I have Bree. I have a VHS player hooked up, ready to go.
Oh my god!
Don't
I don't even have a DVD player anymore.
Hell yeah! I'm a big fan of Ragman, aka Trick or Treat. That was a hell of a recommendation.
Clowns from Outer Space.
The music.
I saw that on
Amazon.
I didn't watch it, but
Fastway. That's the singer from Flogging Molly was in Fastway.
That soundtrack, fucking rocks.
Oh, real quick, I gotta throw some. Have you seen Black Roses?
No.
If you like heavy metal horror, this is a weird Canadian movie about. It's like 1980s. A satanic heavy metal band comes to town, to a small town, and they're literally morph like into monsters as they're playing on stage. You should definitely
have to check it out.
Black Roses.
Can I ask you guys both a question? Do you guys like? I'm just assuming, so I'm asking. Do you guys like the movies where other people think it's overly cheesy, but you see art in it?
Well, I like them all. I like some movies where they know what it is. They know it's goofy, kind of like Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. You kind of know what it is, and they go with it.
Yeah.
So, and there's a movie
Killer
called,
Clowns from Outer Space.
There's a movie, god damn it, what is it called? It's on HBO right now, about a tire that
rubber,
and it just grows and kills people. You're trying to kill a tire. And there's a movie called Slacks that's on
Is it about ghost pants?
But where
is it the Fresno Nightcrawlers?
They sell this pants in the store, and the pants come alive and kill you. They wrap it around you, and it's called Slacks. I love when movies know what they are. They're goofy, they're stupid, and you just go with it.
So you like it, okay? Okay, I figured.
I think you can find
some of the movies Bobby watches. I'm like, that looks like it would be so like bad quality and just like over the top.
Yes,
but it's
I think you can
the art in it.
You can find the humanity in it, and you can find that like even on a low budget, you can make something entertaining, and even if it is like kind of unintentionally funny or so bad it's good, like it's still something aesthetically pleasing to me. So yeah, I'm right there with you. I think we're on the same wheelhouse there.
Nightmare.
Gypsy Road. Yeah, I just wanted to shout out real quick. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Confessionals podcast with Tony Merkel. He's a really good kind of paranormal high strangeness podcast. Check him out. He just put out I think it's his first documentary on the Dog Man. It's on YouTube. You can watch it for free, called Expedition Dog Man, which is if you're one of those people like me where you can just watch people walking through the woods talking about cryptids and hoping that they run into one, this is one of those, it seems. So it's not for everyone, but if you like that kind of stuff, Merkel's someone to look out for.
Thank you.
Oh yeah.
Thank
Bree,
you
any
so
final
much,
thoughts
Eric.
or questions?
No, I just wanted to say thank you, Eric, for blessing us twice now with your presence on our channel. Different show, but it's nice to have you very much.
Oh, I love it. And I got one day, I gotta get a hold of Bobby and do a horror talk show on horror movies.
Please, let's do that.
Because I love all kinds of horror movies. I mean, I know you and I could talk Death Race. That movie where you kill people for points. I know we would have fun with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, let me know. I am down, and I'm gonna segue. Why don't you, Eric, before I plug my own shit? Why don't you tell us where you
give us a rundown? Your call to action.
Where can we find you?
Well, I mean, long story short, I had my original channel was called Gypsy Road. I had to change. I had 30 days to change it because the name Gypsy came out to be a word, a slur.
Mm-hmm.
So I had 30 days or I lose my channel. So technically, I had to change my channel. I called it Paranormal Highway. So I was thinking, well, Gypsy Road. Well, if I got to go one step higher, I'll take the road. Let's make it a highway.
Mm-hmm.
So now I go faster speed. So now it's called Paranormal Highway, and that's my main channel. That's the channel that I do show like 5 days a week. I do what I call paranormal news. Basically, what it is I have like 4 segments. All segments is Bigfoot. We watch a video, we judge it, then we move over to paranormal. We watch a video, we judge it. UFO, we watch a video, judge it, and we go into the Mandela effect. So we hit every single subject in that paranormal news, and it's an interactive show with myself and there. And then usually on Wednesdays, it's like we do here, a 2-hour show where we just talk whatever number one subject. But because tomorrow and next Wednesday, spring break, I can't do that. I'll be doing a paranormal news in the morning. And usually I do my paranormal news in the morning, like 10 a.m. Pacific time. Because I love mornings. I like mornings better than nighttime.
Right on.
And then horror talk is my love. Because most people on my main channel don't like horror movies. They don't like movies, period. So I go to my horror talk, less people. I might get 5 people watching, but I don't care. It's fun. It's my passion.
That's all that matters.
You do you,
all
boo.
That matters. Exactly.
Well,
you do you, boo.
My other my other show, it's on all podcatchers, Not For Everyone podcast. It is a kind of horror cult movie podcast, among other topical pop culture type stuff. We just dropped a new episode tonight on Ninja Mission, which is a Swedish ninja movie, and the cult movie Ricky O, The Story of Ricky, which is a very violent Hong Kong movie based on a Japanese manga. So Not For Everyone podcast. It's highly offensive, trigger warning. So if you're a sensitive person, don't check it out. Bree, send us off. What do you got?
I would like to say peace and love. For those of you who haven't seen, I do have a really quick show and tell. I will show you, since Dad earlier, Dad, aka Dirty Mike on here, asked me if it is up for auction. I shall show you my latest painting, since I always show my paintings here on Bobby's Cryptid Corner.
Ooh, it's very vaginal.
I was thinking the same thing. I like it.
And it's a fucking vagina.
That's why I like it.
I didn't think it could be anything else other than a sparkly David Bowie vagina.
There is a real crystal glued here. This is a real chunk of labradorite that I have put in the clitoris.
Was there a specific choice as to why you chose that spot to put the crystal? I don't know anything about female anatomy, so. Hey, Bree, I just
wife listening? She'd be like,
I just posted it. She'd be like, yes, that's correct. I just posted link to Not For Everyone in the private chat. I don't know how to put it in the main chat.
I'll put it in there for you.
Someone was asking back there.
Not a problem. Anyway.
All right. Well, I don't know how to follow.
I'm wondering if I should continue my vaginal art.
I think you should only draw vaginas moving forward.
I'm thinking so too. Everybody, please go check out Eric and also Bobby, who's a regular here. And thank you guys so much for joining us today. We will see you next Tuesday with another Bobby's Cryptid Corner.